What's up YouTube, Dale here from Zephyr, and today I'm going to talk you through the brand new core set Phantom Nightmare, which is due to hit your own local OTS stores this Wednesday and available for public release as of Thursday, so in a couple of days time. Phantom Nightmare is the first core set of 2024, which introduces us to re-envisionings and updates more support for Yugioh, alongside some other new support cards for fire decks in the form of Princess, and of course Populous for the Snake Eyes strategy that can be abused in multiple decks. On top of that, we also have Raid Raptor support, Magic Spectre support, and a brand new TCG exclusive called Ashened. So what I'm going to do in this video is I'm going to take you through all of the different cards that you can be looking for, focusing more so on the cards and deck cores that you can actually get and help you improve the decks you might already have, as well as talking you through all of the major chase cards coming up from Phantom Nightmare. Hopefully you got a little bit of a preview from your local sneak peek events this weekend, and now you know exactly what you want to get. If you're still unsure if you want to be buying loads of boxes of this, or if you want to be diving headfirst in to pick up some singles, I'm going to take you through a video to give you everything you need. So with everything out of the way, please smash that like button, hit that notification bell and subscribe so you don't miss out on any more upcoming content. So, Phantom Nightmare, where to start? Let's start with the chase cards. Let's talk you through all of the cards that are hitting high amounts of values as it currently stands. So we'll start off with the obvious one, Poplar or Populous, which is more known as the level 1 Fire Snake Eyes monster, which is utilised by, of course, Bonfire, which we got out in Maze of Millennia. Why is this card so important? Well, quite simply, if it's added from the deck to the hand except by drawing it, you can special summon it down and then search yourself out a Snake Eyes card, which is basically another way of getting to your original Sinful Spoils in the fire strategy for stuff like Rescue Ace and of course in stuff like Fire Kings without needing to go through the Dear Bellstar. So it just adds a huge line of consistency. On top of that, it's also a ultra rare, so it's not as fully sought after as a secret rare, so it is a little bit easier to get when you're considering you get 4 ultras a box. But on top of that, it's currently sitting around £35 to £40 a copy, which I know is high for an ultra rare, but if you consider if this was a secret rare, you'd probably be looking at nearly double that. The next card, of course, is the Fire Princess. Now, this is obviously a really cool card for fire deck strategies. As we previously mentioned, the main meta decks considering to be stuff involving Snake Eyes, whether it be with Fire Kings, Rescue Ace, you name it, it is incredibly strong and useful. It's a link free that gives you some spot removal as well as recursion from the graveyard, and if you are only going to be focusing on fire type decks, then you don't even need to worry about its restriction of only allowing you to go into fire monsters. But even if you do, you just go into the Amber Swarm Whale, which is basically a level 4 fire monster, which, quite like the level 3 that we're talking about, also allows you to recycle from the grave, as well as giving you some spot removal on top of that. This card, again, is only an ultra rare, so in comparison to a secret rare, it's a little bit more affordable in the sense that it's currently sitting between £30 and £35. And again, if it was a secret rare, you could probably be expecting to see double that. Some decks may play 1 if not 2 of this, the exact same with Populous. You might be playing 1 if not 2 of it as well. So it's kind of one of them cards you might want to be looking into if you want to be considering a higher value fire deck. But if you're going to buy boxes and you pull 1 if not both of these, you're definitely going to be onto some money. The other chase card in this set is, of course, Lo, the Priestess of the Voiceless Voice. Now, this is the main monster for the Voiceless strategy and is definitely the highest value secret. Currently sitting on pre-orders on eBay for roughly about £50. Prior to that, pre-orders went from anywhere from £40 to £45, even £50 as well per copy, and it's definitely the highest valued individual card, not including quarter century rares, for this particular set. It's incredibly important for the Voiceless strategy, not only being able to use itself as a full requirements for a tribute ritual summon, but also being able to be the main starter of the deck and very easily accessible in the entire strategy. For those of you that are not fans of fire type archetypes, you might be going down this route to try and play this ritual based deck, especially if you have affiliations with, of course, Necros from way back when. Moving down the rest of the cards, the next valuable secret as so far is the Goat That Laughed, and this is a £20 trap card, maybe up to £25, and that is because the other strategy in the main meta decks, if you're not looking at the £190 to £200 Voiceless core or the Fire Kings, Rescue Aces, you name it, fire strategy, the next deck you're going to be looking at is, of course, Labyrinths. And Labyrinths having transaction rollback and, of course, access to the brand new Goat That Laughed, being able to restrict your opponent to summoning specifically from the graveyard only can really cause some of these strategies some issues. So that's it for the main chase cards, not to mention, of course, all of the quarter century rares. If you do pull any of those, you should be able to get anywhere from 20 all the way up to £300 if you do pull the Link free Princess, because that is definitely going to be getting you a lot of money. So let's talk about the more cheaper and affordable cores in this set, which are definitely going to have future investments or just generally quite fun and interesting to play. We're going to start off with Raid Raptors. Now, Raid Raptors have now been given an additional level 13 or rank 13 XYZ monster, as well as some really cool main deck additions that are going to allow the deck to combo off incredibly well. Unfortunately, the deck is still slightly fragile to certain forms of hand trap interaction, but for those of you that do not know how to play against the Raid Raptor strategy, you will be on the losing end of this deck because it can pump out the Arsenal Falcon very, very easily, which not only will reduce your attacks of all your monsters during the end phase, but can also provide some burn damage as being a massively powerful towers for you to try and deal with. Now, a core of all the brand new Raid Raptor stuff is currently sitting between £12 to £20 at max because it only contains one ultra rare, so it's very cheap and easy to pick up. The downside is you will require a card called Tribute Lanius, which is an ultra rare that's only had 2 prints, originally in Winged Raiders and of course in Ghosts from the Past. This is currently sitting at about £10 to £15 a copy, depending on where you're looking for it, and it is the one card starter that is increased in value due to a lot of hype, thanks to, of course, the brand new set coming out. However, if you already have access to this card, then you can definitely pick up this deck and build it very cheaply, and you can build it up from the ground up very cheaply from less than £100, so it's definitely one of them budget decks that can pump out some very powerful boss monsters, especially if you are a fan of the Winged Beast type. You can also then produce some very amazing XYZ monsters to cause your opponent a lot of issues. The next one that we're going to talk about is, of course, Magispectors. Now, going from a XYZ focused deck strategy from Raid Raptors all the way to a Pendulum strategy, you get a brand new lineup for the Magispector type. Now, obviously, the Magispectors had the built-in effect that they couldn't be targeted or destroyed by card effects, which is already a massive bonus. The one thing they were missing was boss monsters, and that's where they needed to combine with the Draco Slayers in order to be a little bit more aggressive, which is exactly what the brand new cards can do. They got a brand new Link 2, as well as a brand new super rare Porcupine that allows them to special summon it while they control a Magispector monster, getting into that Link monster a heck of a lot easier. They also got an ultra rare in the form of a brand new extra deck Pendulum, rank 4, and this is going to allow them to extend their plays even further. Again, just because we've had a reprint of the Magispector Bombuku, which is the most important card to search out the rest of the strategy, it does make the deck relatively easy to pick up, and it definitely, if you have picked up the Draco Slayers, which have been recently reprinted in the Megatins of 2023, completing the deck shouldn't be much of an issue. And again, if you are interested in the Pendulum strategy or the Pendulum play type, it's definitely a deck you could look at picking up and building on a very tidy budget. Current cores are sitting around about £25. This includes 3 copies of the secret rare Link monster and of course 3 copies of the ultra rare XYZ. Now, you might not need 3 copies of each of those, but just being able to get an entire core all complete, it just makes life a little bit easier when you're trying to put this deck together. Moving on to the next one, we'll talk about the brand new TCG exclusive, which is the Ashened. Now, the Ashens contain 2 ultra rares as well as a secret rare. Current pre-order prices on these was about £55, and these may go up or down depending on future support. Now, this is definitely a deck that is open for future investment, just because it has so much more room for improvement, and we could be expecting 7 more cards in the next core set, Legacy of Destruction, which is 3 months down the line. What I say about all TCG exclusives is if they hit a low price, it's definitely worth picking them up. Now, to me, £50 for the core was definitely worth it because I am a fan of course, the Dark Souls theme that it is based off, as well as the whole history behind it with Pompeii influences as well. The deck does have some very cool interactions for the pure fact that it doesn't utilise or need to rely on its normal summon as much, and you can play Bonfire if you want to, but arguably if you're going to go out and spend like £80 to £100 per copy for Bonfire, you're probably not going to be doing it for Ashened. Unless it gets insanely good in the next set, and then you might regret that decision, but you never know. Right now, I feel that these could be dropping quite low. The best card is Vidos, which of course is the main dragon monster, which allows you to destroy any field spell and then give your opponent the Vidos. The best thing about it is it's a great counter for one of the anti-meta decks currently running around in the form of Kashteras, because you destroy their field spell, you give them that dragon, and if they don't have birth, they ain't playing. The deck is still very, very kind of cool, and like I said, because it's still open-ended at this moment in time, you can build it with loads of different engines. You could go down an adventure engine if you wanted to. You could also look at a very powerful normal summon version engine as well. So you could really, really look at something like Alistair the Invoker and play the Evoked engine if you wanted to, because there are loads of different variations you can try out. So right now it is in the experimental phase, but it's definitely one of them ones that if it hits any lower than £50, or if you're not so happy spending £50 on the entire core, you could consider and wait for it to come down a little bit more, hit about the Tistina level or around about £25, and then pick them up. TCG exclusives always get a little bit better when the OCG get them, because then that's when they introduce one brand new card which pretty much ties everything together. It's kind of like a collaboration, even though the OCG choose what TCG exclusive decks we get first, and then we present them as a TCG exclusive, and then the OCG go,
but it can be better.
Moving on to the core deck for this entire set. Now, what makes this deck incredibly good is the fact that it's centered around one of the original GX era boss monsters in the form of Yugioh. Don't worry, I haven't forgot about Goblin Knights. I'll talk to them a little bit later on. So Yugioh, of course, is the brand new updated versions, and it's absolutely insane. The best thing about Yugioh is it's all super res and ultra res. Now, I thought it'd be a little bit easier to pick all them cards up at sneak peek value, but it did mean that loads of the legacy players that were around during the GX era and actually liked the Yugioh strategy is definitely trying to dive in on them as well. The biggest issue with the brand new Yugioh support is the fact of trying to get hold of original Yugioh. Now, original Yugioh hasn't been printed for a long, long time. It currently only has 3 prints that I'm aware of. One was its original print in Phantom Nightmare, I believe it was. No, that's the new set. Phantom Darkness, way back when, and that was a super rare. It then got an upgrade in Legendary Duelist, Legendary Collection 5Ds, I believe, or GX. I'm trying to get my head straight on every single one of them, but it came as a secret rare, and then it also came as a rare as well. The rares are currently sitting at £15 a copy because you do only need 1 copy of Yugioh. However, I do highly, highly expect Konami will reprint Yugioh as either a common, super rare, or an ultimate rare in the upcoming OTS packs or a set after that. So it really comes down to how desperate are you to play Yugioh, and trust me, it's actually really, really fun. Being able to go first or second with this deck, which is basically designed around Super Body, due to their brand new Fusion Monster, is absolutely insane. So the brand new Fusion Monster basically requires a Yugioh monster and then 1 or more monsters on the field. So it's in itself an amazing Super Poly target for the deck, meaning you can use Super Poly in the deck and also search Super Poly in the deck, while it also has a brand new track card which can allow itself to be treated as technically Super Poly. I mean, your opponent can respond to it, but it still lets you use your opponent's board as your material to Fusion Summon, which is insane. You also have Spirit of Yugioh and Samsara D Lotus, which obviously helps you instigate all of these types of plays to increase its consistency near enough tenfold, which is absolutely amazing. Incredibly fun and relatively cheap to pick up all of the new stuff. Like I said, the biggest issue you're going to have is getting the original Yugioh. However, if you're able to find the Yugioh quickly and soon enough before a reprint is kind of announced, or unless you're willing to hold out for the reprint announced, you can pretty much get an entire Yugioh core, including the new stuff, for roughly about £30 to £50, because I feel you can get all the new stuff for about £15, buy a rare Yugioh at £15 as well, and you're pretty much there with everything you might need to play this deck. Now, the final deck we're going to talk about that comes in Phantom Nightmare is, of course, the Goblin Riders. Now, Goblin Riders are a brand new rank 3 based archetype, and this comes off of the lore for Snake Eyes as well, which you'll see in the promo cards artwork, where you can see the Snake Eyes interacting with the Goblin Riders. Now, the Goblin Riders are still quite open-ended, which is really nice right now. We know they do have another wave of support coming in the next set, but it's all about rank 3 spam, being able to upgrade your rank 3s to go into even stronger rank high monsters, which is really, really kind of cool, especially if you wanted to utilize them with different rank 3 decks, such as Burning Abyss as well. Now, obviously, Burning Abyss will self-implode, but there are times of being able to use cards like Fiendish Rhino, which also helps you in that strategy as well. The deck does look really, really fun and very entertaining, and it is the art type out of the entire set that got given the most high rarity cards, currently sitting with 2 secret rares and, of course, 2 ultra rares. Not to mention that one of the secret rares is, of course, the promo card from the sneak peek, so it should be a little bit easier to pick up and relatively cheap to complete the deck. Pre-orders are currently sitting at around about £70 for an entire core, but I do expect once the hype dies down and the set is officially released, you'll be able to pick this up for a heck of a lot cheaper. That is pretty much the overview. Of course, there are some really kind of cool commons in this set, like a brand new card that lets you normal summon during your opponent's turn for the low cost of 500 life points, or normal summon 3 times during your turn for the low cost of 1,000 life points as well. This is why the sneak peeks are so enjoyable to attend, because sometimes if you do play sealed with the sneak peeks, it can allow you to look at some of the other cards that may be very interesting for future upcoming strategies or just different decks you want to try them out in. So that is pretty much it for the Phantom Nightmare breakdown. I hope this is kind of giving you a bit of an insight from my personal opinion of what is in this set. I do feel that it's a very strong set to be starting the year off with, especially with the little bit of disappointment that Maze of Memory was. Me personally, I wasn't the biggest fan because it only had really a couple of chase cards and a couple of new updates. There's also support for Gate Guardian in this set as well, so if you did pick up Gate Guardian very cheaply, don't worry, you only need to pick up 2 commons from this set and you should be able to get them off of a friend very cheaply, and that will give you another angle to update one of your fun decks. I do feel that this set is more tailored towards updating fun Tier 2 decks than it is all about the Tier 0 format, because I feel that the decks that we've got already only need 1 or 2 more cards to get them a little bit better or just increase their competitive play, whereas it's very nice to see some of these Tier 2 decks come back into it, take them to a local environment, and for those of you right at the start of it, they won't know exactly what they do, you'll definitely be able to get some wins off of it, and if you learn to master the deck as well, you'll definitely be able to take on some of those more challenging matchups, and you never know, you might be topping with Yugioh way before you even know it. If you don't have any questions at all, by all means, please put in the comments down below. Let me know what you think of Phantom Nightmare in general. I feel it is a very good set, like I've already mentioned, in regards to its budget kind of access to some of the fun decks around. All it is requiring is some of those harder to get cards like the Tribute Lanius and Original Yugioh to be reprinted in the upcoming OTS pack, and then it would be a dead set to be able to pick these cards up. But be warned, if those cards do get reprinted, do not be surprised if some of the cards from this set do take a little bit of a spike. Nothing major, but you might be looking at paying originally £5 for the Yubel Fusion Monster right now to possibly paying £10 for the Yubel Fusion Monster should Yubel get reprinted later on down the line, as you will definitely have some of the anime fans wanting to play that deck as well. And I definitely know a couple of players that have come back to the game specifically for this new support. And we also have new support for the Yubel in the Legacy of Destruction as well. So it just gets better and better and better. Same for Goblin Riders and possibly even future support for Rave Raptors, hopefully to come very soon as well. Anyway, thanks so much for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, share. Till next time, as absolutely always, stay safe and of course, happy dueling.